Hi, I'm Mark Doty, and I'm here at the Moog Sound Lab with the Moog Minitaur, Moog's new bass sound. It's hard to describe exactly how this thing really pulls off the bass, and I guess the only way to demonstrate is to play it. And that's relatively open, but here, let's listen to the filter. So it lives up to its name right away with this bass sound. And you have two oscillators. Each oscillator has both a sawtooth wave and a square wave, which you control with these really immediately usable buttons. Here's oscillator 1's saw, which is consistent with the original Taurus, and then the added square wave. And then, of course, if we bring in oscillator 2, because the oscillators have their own mix knob here, so you can decide exactly how much of each oscillator you want. That's both of them doing sawtooth wave. Here's oscillator 2 square with oscillator 1 out of sawtooth. You can hear immediately that that's a very big bassy sound. You have control over the frequency of oscillator 2. So you can detune oscillator 2, which is something you'll probably want to do, but you can also set it to intervals. So if you set it a fifth apart, I mean, you can do things like you can turn oscillator 2's volume down to the point where oscillator 2 is just adding harmonics to oscillator 1, which gives a really thick sound, like you need a thick sound already. The thing is already very thick, but still. Also, they've set this up so that if you turn VCO2's frequency all the way up, it's an octave above. So you basically have an octaver. And it's the same if you go down, it'll take it an octave down. That is a big low end. Of course, no Moog would be complete without the Moog filter, but this is a different Moog filter. This is the Taurus-based filter, which gives it this wonderful, richer low end. And here, let's have a listen to the cutoff. You can hear how sweet it is when it gets into that Moog point. You just don't get that sound anywhere else. Already we have these massive oscillators, dual oscillators, and then this filter just putting that rich Moog sound on top of it that also is adding that sweet, dare I say, fat sound. And it's incredible. Listen to it. And that's with two oscillators. I mean, even if you bring one oscillator out, it's still incredible. And that's even without resonance. So let's bring some resonance in. Bringing the resonance in doesn't remove any of that bass that you want to hear. Of course, we can bring in the envelope. The filter has its own discrete envelope, which is fantastic. They didn't need to put two envelopes on here, but they did. So you have the option to have the envelope for the filter, of course, and the other envelope which goes to the amplifier. Let's also take a look at the modulation bus. You have this LFO, and you can direct the LFO to the oscillator or the filter. So many synthesizers that are of this size, these small synthesizers, you wouldn't expect to have the ability to direct the modulation to the VCO in the way that you can here, and I'll show you how. So so often you'd have like a pitch wheel or a mod wheel that you could do this with, but they have included in their LFO, it goes into the audio range, so you can do these incredible distortion effects using it. And that's using the LFO to affect the VCO, but you can also direct it to the filter. Which extreme can give you cool sounds like that, but subtly you can get just really nice saturated distortion effects. So not only do you have the ability to modulate both the VCO and the VCF with this LFO, but you also have the ability to have the LFO rate go into the audio range, which you can use as a really fantastic coloring if you're not using it as a modulation of pitch or the filter cutoff. Also, because no bass synth would be a true Moog bass synth if you didn't have the opportunity for portamento, they've included glide, so you can get more of a mini Moog sort of gliding traditional bass sound. If we look in the back, you have the ability to control the Minitaur using traditional control voltage for the pitch and the filter and the volume, which is a great feature. You can hook this up to like your Voyager, for example, and control it that way. Of course, you can control it via MIDI, which is what we've been doing. Moog has been very nice to you. They've put a audio import on the Minitaur, so you can take whatever you want and put it through this incredible Minitaur filter. So that is the Moog Minitaur.